VR Chat, the next frontier. These are the experiences from Gunters' universe. His continuing mission? To seek out and connect with VR devs and passionate enthusiasts. To discuss theories, beliefs, and rhetoric of all kind. And to boldly go where no show has ever gone before.
Tonight on Gunters Universe, show number 13, I talk with James Jensen, the CTO of The Void, an out-of-home mixed reality experience that will take you to infinite dimensions. I'm also joined by Chris Madsen from RoadToVR and Shannon Norrell, VR Burning Man. Both have tried The Void and will share their experience with us today. Gunters Universe broadcasts live from VR Chat every Tuesday at 9:30 Eastern. You can now watch the show as it happens via the live stream. Head over to hitbox.tv/Gunter444. Now let's meet our guest. I'm humbled and happy to have James Jensen, the CTO of The Void, with us tonight. How are you, James?
Hey, I'm doing good, guys. It's awesome to be here. This is my first time, but this is really cool. I love it.
Oh, right on. Glad to have you, and always love having new people out here to VR Chat and to the show. It's an interesting, novel experience. With us also is longtime friend Chris Madsen, DeepRifter. He's here. He writes for the RoadToVR team. What's up, Chris?
Hey, not much. Just playing in VR as usual.
Yeah. It's good to see you again. And also joined by Shannon Norrell. He's organizing the VR Burning Man camp. Welcome back to the show, Shannon.
Hey, thanks for having me. So I have a new domain. It's called Burning Man. So it's Burning Man. Instead of a U, it's a V. So get it?
Cool. Burning Man. BurningMan.com. Sweet. All right. So I think we should go ahead and jump into things. So let's go ahead and enter the void. I've been wanting to say that all night long. Let's play this cool video here.
It's kind of like Release the Kraken.
Indeed. Hopefully I get the audio kicking. I got to type in commands for that. Let's see.
It's working. There we go.
So rad. Who's that guy? I want to know all your team. Amazing. Yeah!
That's awesome.
Dude.
Can't wait to do this.
Getting killed.
It's pretty cool because most of the footage in here is actual game footage from the Unity engine, except for like this pre-rendered shot.
You know that's sick, man. Ow.
This one's right from Unity, actually right from the game engine, just the screen capture.
Wow.
This one's obviously post-production.
Right.
Wow.
Coolness.
Social bonding is going to go to a new level, man. That's crazy stuff.
So I would like to move into the void and just live there for the rest of my life, I think.
It is pretty nice.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me about the void and how you got the project started.
So that's kind of a pretty cool story, man. I had the idea to do mixed virtual reality with the physical world for about 17 years, and my background's kind of in computer animation and motion tracking, and then also I got into computer game development and mobile game development, and I just kind of surrounded myself with guys over the last 12 to 15 years with just some really good, talented people that could come together and pretty much build anything computer generated. And I met Ken Bretschneider and Curtis Hickman. They were developing a project called Evermore, and they started asking me after a while. Well, I brought in a team of guys to actually visualize their parks, their Evermore parks. We did a previs iPad game that you could actually see the whole park, and you could walk around in the park and everything on an iPad. And then they started asking me if I had any ideas for attractions in their park, and I was like, yeah, I have this one idea I've wanted to do forever. I wanted to mix reality with virtual reality, and I know it's possible. I've seen it on stage. I've seen the motion capture systems. I've seen GPS systems. I've seen all of these things that could work together to make a real VR experience. And Ken immediately was like, oh yeah, I have the same kind of ideas, and I think we should definitely go for this. And he ended up putting in the initial seed money end of last year, well, probably mid of last year. And I brought in the team of guys, and we put together the first beta, well, not beta, I guess first prototype to just kind of prove that it was possible, and it was good enough that Ken was just like, yeah, we gotta do this. And we really thought about the business model and how it could actually make money and be a viable product right now, and not down the road. And that's our business plan came out of that. And yeah, that's kind of a quick version, but
So you said Ken and Curtis, those are your other parts of the team. Do you have any other people on your team?
Yeah, so Ken Bretschneider and Curtis Hickman are my partners and co-founders. And then I have a team of awesome computer animators and Unity developers. Paul Gerla is kind of our lead guy, and then Abel Perry and a couple other really good guys that are on our team. I have Greg Jensen, is actually my little brother, my younger brother, and he's just he's probably one of the most amazing programmers I've met in my life, and it's not just because he's my brother, but I'm glad that Ken trusted to bring him on, because he's really building the foundation for the Void system, which will include, a whole online community and transactions and microtransactions, and you'll be able to build your character over time. And yeah, so it's not just kind of a one-off thing. You'll be going to the Void Center and earning credits and earning experience points and collecting items and finding Easter eggs and all kinds of cool stuff.
That's really interesting. So you'll have a character, you'll be leveling up, there'll be replay value, or there'll be new places for you to bring your character to, and I imagine that you could view all this from home through an app or through a web browser to keep figuring out what you want to do next, and then when they come to the center, game on.
Yeah, exactly right. So when you buy a ticket to go to the Void Center, you reserve your spot. It doesn't end there. You're immediately going to jump on your cell phone, start customizing your character, play some mini games. The mini games that we want to build on the Void, free-to-play desktop games and mobile games, you'll be able to play with people that are actually in the Void. So if you could think of like a zombie apocalypse game at the Void, you would have the people that are trying to fight off the zombies at the Void, and then you would have people online playing the zombies, and the better they are, the more points they get, kind of thing, right?
Can I get a woo?
That's awesome.
Woo!
Woo, yeah. This is I think we have fans in the audience.
Yay. Rock and roll.
Oh, I forgot to introduce Mr. Whiskers here. Back.
Nice intro music.
It was great intro.
So yeah, we're all super excited, and thank you for coming out. And this is very. I'm actually shaking a little bit just because it's such a cool project. So we learned about the team a little bit. What's going on there with like the effects, the real life effects? I saw, wind blast and other stuff. Is that Curtis? I think I was reading about.
So that's some pretty cool stuff, man. When I imagined doing this prototype, I imagined doing like a 10 by 10 room with a couple walls in it and figuring it out. And Curtis and Ken actually just kept pushing, like, no, we got to make this thing like epic. And so we started playing around with DMX controlled systems that they use for concerts and stuff to key on lights and turn on all kinds of fog machines and stuff like that. And so we've written some of our own code to actually work with those DMX and Q systems to run all kinds of stuff, like these great big transducers that shake the ground. And Chris can talk about this kind of stuff. Chris and Shannon can talk about it because they've been there, but it's pretty cool. Like every teeny little thing that you add in kind of this real world 4D effect thing just instantly solidifies the virtual reality experience to a point where it becomes real. It's actually pretty cool, man.
Hey, tell them about Curtis's history with previous clients.
Oh yeah, so Curtis Hickman, it was pretty cool. Him and I got together and we said, we got to crack this and figure out how to make it infinite level or infinite area that can be changed, that wouldn't have to change, that would change in VR, but it wouldn't have to change in physical reality very, very much. And when I met Curtis, I found out that he actually was an illusionist, and he actually did illusions for David Copperfield and Chris Angel and those guys. He's part of that whole community of people, and I was like, okay, I'm going to break away, and I'm going to try to figure out how we can do this in a warehouse that makes sense. And he came back like the next day and he's like, dude, I figured it out. You got to see this. And he laid it out. And I was like, no way, this thing's amazing. Like, this is the only way you'd be able to do VR the way that it needs to be done, where you're not on a treadmill, but you can walk for an infinite distance. And Curtis really has an awesome perspective on illusions and be able to trick the mind, and you only have to do a small portion for your mind to start buying like the reality, and Curtis is excellent at that.
Do you have chills, Gunter?
Oh yeah, man. Seeing the video, reading about this, hearing you talk, it's mind blowing. And Curtis sounds like a really cool cat to meet.
Curtis is super cool.
Awesome.
Well, let's hear some first-hand accounts. Let's start with Chris DeepRifter. Tell us about your experience when you went to the Void.
Oh my gosh, I was so excited to go because I'd spoken with Ken prior, and it was like, everything you imagined you wanted VR to be. I remember when I first got the DK2, I did the desk demo, and I'm always trying to achieve and maximize presence as much as I possibly can. That's like the goal of VR, right? So I'm the guy that was like putting the table out on the ground, putting the chair that mimicked the chair behind the desk, and I remember doing that the first time where you could feel the objects, and it took my breath away. I mean, my heart was freaking racing. I remember crawling under the table and feeling like I was crawling into a dream. I mean, wow moment. So when I heard what the Void was doing, it was like taking that to a whole new level. It's blended reality. It's complete merging of the virtual with the physical. So everything you're visually seeing is the virtual, but you can literally touch all the things in the game. And I remember when I first got hooked up, by the way, the backpack is extremely light. I was very impressed by that. I didn't even notice it as I was going through the game. So I put that on my back, and the first thing James hooks me up to, all of a sudden I'm in this room, and a portal appears in front of me. And it was just so awesome. That feeling you get when you can take those 3, 4, 5 steps. It's like all of a sudden on like the 3rd or 4th step, it's starting to become real. And I remember walking through the portal into this room beyond, walking about 10 steps over to the wall, and just putting out my hand and feeling that wall in front of me. And right then your mind just goes, we're here. We're here. It's legit. And it's a mind-blowing experience. So, God, some of the more powerful experiences I remember having in there, one of my favorites was the ledge, for example. I walk out to the ledge, and as soon as you walk out of the building, which is hanging on the edge of a cliff, and you've got this metal walkway that you're walking, and it's it's quite a ways down. You can't really see the bottom. You're looking out over an alien landscape, and as soon as you walk out into the open area, the wind comes on. The fans start blowing. You're feeling the rush of air. Your shirt is whipping out a bit behind you. It's so epic. It's yeah, I'm here on this alien planet. I'm experiencing the void. And so I'm like, okay, you got to step off the edge, because this is what Abe Brash always talked about, right? It's yeah, I'm experiencing the void.
Right.
Experience that. So you're totally in VR. Your prefrontal cortex is realizing, yes, I've got the headset on. I'm in a game. It's not real, but holy shit, I can't step off the edge, man. It's like doing the trust fall, right? It's like that same feeling where you got to fall backwards into, hoping that these people are going to catch you on the other side. So, okay, I'm going to do it. So I go ahead, and I finally get up the gumption to do it, and I put my foot out, and I felt air. Oh, shit! You jump back. It's how far is it, James? It's like a 10-inch drop or something, 6-inch drop or something. It's nothing.
It's 4.
But
it's
as soon as your foot doesn't feel something, it's I just doubted myself, man. I'm pulling myself back from the edge. And so anyway, I don't want to take all the stories away. Let's let Shannon kind of maybe discuss what he experienced, because it was mind-blowing. Just that the presence is at a new level, and that's what you're going for. And I had a DK2 on. The Rapture wasn't available at that time. I was using a DK2 through this experience, and still feeling that level of presence was freaking awesome.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Rapture in just a moment, but yeah, Shannon, what other experiences did you have besides the ledge?
Well, Shannon, if you don't mind, I think Shannon's been able to see kind of the newer stuff, the Dimension 1 that we've been building on that has kind of the longer walkthrough. I think that would be cool for you to talk about if you want to.
Oh, the hallway thing and the down. Yeah, so they kind of have this concept of folding, I guess, folding spaces. And like he was saying, Curtis came up with this technique, I suppose, and you're running down this hallway, and it's a long hallway, and they go, hey, stop, take the rift off, and then I open it up and look out, and it's whoa, I'm where I was before. Kind of folds back in on itself. But it looks like an infinite hallway, and you could connect things, and you turn right and come back over, and you come back, and it folds back in, and it's like a mouse maze, but it appears like a maze, but environment. The one thing I wanted to mention that was really cool, the ledge definitely blew my mind. That little bit of just a little bit of reinforcement that there is, an abyss beyond. But as you're going through, you walk to an area, and it's like an elevator, and you have to activate the elevator, and there's a little puzzle kind of thing to do that. But once you do, the floor lifts you up to the next level. So I don't know if you guys knew, there's a second level inside the void. And so I guess I'll give it away. I don't know. But they say take your headset off, and you're exactly where you were before. Right, so the floor vibrates, and it gives just the illusion, the complete effect that you're rising. It's uncanny.
And it's hilarious because James is only 3 feet away the entire time, and you're so convinced you're on that upper ledge that you're yelling, James, what's going on, man?
I like to mess with people and just kind of get down on my knees and say, hey, Chris, are you up there? How's it going up there?
That's rad.
Yeah, you should do that. Cup your hands and go, hey!
We've literally had investors and people that have come through the experience, and they get done at the end, and they hey, can you show us where you took us and you lift us up? What kind of pneumatic system are you using to lift people up, and how do you get that to work? It's pretty funny.
It's all the magic, Curtis magic.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a matter of a little. You don't need a whole lot of physical feedback, but just a little cues. You know, a puff of air here, a spritz of water there, a vibration there. It really reinforces the experience, like in an uncanny fashion.
Yeah, we're experimenting right now with our haptic feedback vest, and it's really. I mean, we had the guys from Core Effects come out and hang out with us and talk to us about what we're doing, and their vest is pretty awesome, but they're trying to get into a price point that matches what consumers will buy, and our vest is just kind of over the top, and it's interesting to see how some of these effects are going to play out inside the Void, and I'm almost a little worried that we're going to scare people way too bad. As soon as these effects hit you and you hear the sound and you're feeling the wind and everything, it's almost so convincing that I don't know what kind of damage we could do. But that's why we have. I was gonna say that's why we have our beta center, and we plan to, at least in my mind, I'd love to do tickets and things that people could win to actually come and do the experience some of the new stuff that we're building. So maybe they do something in the level or whatever when they're playing the game, and they get free tickets to come to the lab, right? And they get to come and experience our new scares or our new visual effects or our new 4D effects.
I volunteer to tribute.
Yeah.
You want to put golden tickets in the chocolate bars, man?
Yeah, kind of. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I think I tried your force feedback vest, and there's some pretty startling effects in there. You could soil the vest in a certain scenario. You have to watch yourself.
Yeah, tell me more about the technology. Tell me about the Rapture headset that's being in development. You have this vest. You have bands that go across hands, I guess, and your legs, and there's other things to add to that experience. Can you talk to that?
Yeah, I can talk to that a bit. Our Rapture headset, we have our first version development prototype that we're using right now that is helping us do some lens distortion techniques. The lenses that we're creating are they've never really been done before because we're using curved screens, and so the lenses actually have a kind of A-sphere part to them and then a Frenzel part to them, and they're a combination, but they actually wrap around your head, so we have a better form factor, and then we also have more peripheral vision. But some of the new things that NVIDIA is doing with their cards is going to allow us to do some pretty epic stuff, which is kind of their isolated rendering areas and stuff. We actually talked to NVIDIA today about that and what they can do to support us, and that's all moving along really nicely, kind of together with what we're doing with the Rapture headset.
And how is the magic happening with the whole tracking, like the wireless headsets and this whole full body tracker?
So the wireless, all the wireless stuff is really just a really high-end wireless LAN game. As far as the computer players, or as far as the players talking to the game server, and then the tracking is actually done separate from that and fed to the individual first, and then a copy sent to the game server. So everything is always perfect real time for the end user, and then there's a slight delay, but nothing you can really pick up. The RF tracking stuff that we're doing with Justin is coming along really well, and once we get that completed, it's going to be pretty epic. It should be probably the most accurate tracking system on the planet, and I think we're able to do that because of some of the constraints that we don't have as far as budgets and things go. But what's really nice about the tracking system that we're creating is it doesn't suffer from occlusion, so when you start throwing walls and stuff into the mix, you can get closer to walls and get closer to people, and you don't get that, the jitter or, covering up tracking markers, because the radio frequency tracker base units can actually still see you.
But how? Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. The best tracker known. I can't wait to hear more about that. I have heard a little bit about Justin, and he sounds like a really great hire.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. We actually just found him on YouTube. I'm sure you guys saw his stuff that he was playing with. He actually, I wish he was on right now because he could kind of give a little bit of his history, but he actually went and presented to Valve, and he went and presented to a couple other people, and they're like, yeah, maybe. And they just kind of didn't really want to participate with him, and we were lucky enough to pick him up and kind of get him the resources that he needs to finish what he was doing, and he definitely has the mind and the will to get it done. So what we're seeing is really promising.
Cool. And so this is we're talking about a lot of entertainment here, entertainment experiences. Any plan to do anything outside of entertainment?
Oh yeah. So the Void Centers will be open 24/7, right? Because they're inside. It doesn't matter about weather, but we've had SWAT teams come in and go through the experience. We have a lot of government people that are talking to us, and we've had psychotherapy kind of people come in for medical reasons, and then education experiences. There's a lot of really cool things that we can do. We were on the phone yesterday with there's a whole bunch of really large companies out of China that are just dying to have us come over there, right? Because they have a dense population and nobody really has anything to do over there. But we were talking to them about cultural experiences that we could do here in the U.S. that would give us an understanding of kind of what their history is, like the different types of people and things that have brought along their history. So there's those types of things.
Cool. So my notes are a little here and there. I want to go back to kind of how this experience is created. Like, what kind of tricks are you using in the pods, these environments, these, I don't know, 60 by 60 foot, they're called pods, is that right?
Yeah, we've kind of marked them the gaming pods. They're 60 feet by 60 feet, and they actually have a full infinite hallway that goes all the way around, and then there's rooms and hallways on the inside. So you can imagine the infinite, it would be kind of cool to show it on here, but the infinite hallway goes all the way around, so I can actually have you feel like you walk in a straight line for a whole marathon if I wanted to. But so you can imagine you can go halfway around the circle, which would to you look like you walk down the street, and then you could go into a building, go through that whole building, out of that building, walk down the street again, and into a different building, and then over to an elevator and go up 150 floors. And it could just happen over and over and over and over.
What are some of the limitations to that? It wouldn't be free roaming experience. There would be a sort of guided situation going on, right?
So we've talked about that quite a bit, and there's actually some game techniques that we can do. A lot of that's controlled by game mechanics, so we can either move people through as groups, or there's things where we can ghost people so they can have their own experience, and then those individuals, if you get close enough to them, they would sort of appear ghost, and so they can kind of explore and have their own experience. As far as multiplayer stuff goes, it gets a little dicey, but it's definitely possible. Everything that you can imagine in a gaming environment is possible. You just have to kind of control it with game mechanics.
By the way, the multiplayer was fantastic. I was standing next to a buddy, and we both were in the environment, and he's standing right there, but he looks like an android or whatever, and it tracked really nicely.
Wow, that sounds pretty cool. So do you have any plans for like multiplayer, like playing against your buddy, or is more collaborative multiplayer?
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually imagining, you have clans of people that are walking into Void Centers, and you have a clan in Utah that's walking in. There's 8 guys on a team, and you have a clan in California that's walking into a Void Center, and then they battle each other, right? And we do that whole thing live on the internet. So, yeah. Inside the Void, you'll actually be able to, there's several game pods in the Void. It's like a theater with little theaters inside of it. And we can actually merge people's games, so we can have 8 people in this pod and another in the pod next to them, and have them battle each other if we wanted to.
Right on. So something I've always thought with VR is that I kind of want to take things to a new dimension, per se, with how we interact with the characters in our environment, and I'd like to see them more people-powered, that they're actually people. So if I was thinking with your experience there, you could be bringing in people via wireless headsets or their headsets from home and actually be characters in these experiences. I think that would bring things to another dimension where it wouldn't be these AIs, but they would be actual people that could act in the performance sort of thing. It seems to lend itself to this sort of thrill ride or some sort of like Disney experience, the entertainment center.
Yeah, definitely. That's what we want to utilize our free-to-play desktop games and mobile games to let people interact with the Void in a very real way, where they're playing people in the Void and being the real AI, and we give them incentives for being good at it. We give them incentives for being a good zombie and like trying to sneak around. And nothing would be scarier to have a zombie that feels like a real person, that's like peeking around the corner and then backing away and then peeking around the corner and then going to a different place, and like it just would scare you to death.
Yeah. I've been waiting for something like that.
Can they score points? Can they score points based on the person's heart rate?
I'll pay you for that job.
That'd be interesting. We've actually talked about maybe putting some monitoring systems inside of the vests, and we might actually do that for our beta testers, so we can see how far we're pushing people.
Now that is a great idea, great feedback for a good scary guy, and just track the heart rate, his pulse goes up and whatnot. It's awesome.
I guess you could also make sure you're not about to give somebody a heart attack and just turn the system down, or show them less scariness. I heard from another interview that you have the ability to control the intensity, control how horrific maybe a horror experience is, or that say a father and son go in, the father could be experiencing some sort of R-rated experience with blood and gore, whereas the son who's right along with him could be experiencing something more like Plants and Zombies, but they're both having the same experience, just looking differently.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, everybody has a screen on their face, right? It's not like going to the movie where everybody has to sit through the same thing. So, and then, Unity and these other game engines have made it easy for people to swap out skins for the same kind of rigged characters. So, we can make that a level adjustment where we adjust, gore, and we adjust what the characters look like. So my son would be like, hey, shoot that zombie, and I'd be like, let's get us, and he's actually just looking at some kind of fun zombie, and I'm looking at something crazy, scary. I mean, that's stuff we got to kind of test and see how that works. There's definitely going to be a balance, but I think that's possible, and we definitely want to do that. I have kids, I have a family, and I'd love to have them all kind of go with me every time, Yeah,
I guess since you're controlling everything, you're able to kind of come up with all this. That's pretty wild. So, Chris and Shannon, what other things can you talk about your experiences, or maybe questions for James now that you had some time to think about your experience?
Can I guess I can talk about the alien encounter, James? Is that right?
Yeah, sure. You can give your version, and then Shannon can give his version, because it changes every week.
Right. So I remember walking into this chamber, and I did have a gun in my hand, which was great to see in virtual reality, taking the muzzle right up by your face and watching the tracer bullets come out was very cool. So I'm walking into this chamber, and there's like this huge cylinder-looking glass tank, and I can see that there's like this, look at 8-foot, 9-foot tall alien that's floating in this vat, and I'm like approaching it. As you approach, all of a sudden this vat comes to life. Steam comes flying out the bottom of it, and it's an actual, in the physical world there is air or steam coming out at you, and all of a sudden this thing opens up and the alien jumps out, and on the version I did, he takes a swipe at you, and it disorients you, and you get that whole blur tracer effect. You're pulling your, it's like, whoa, it's like I just dropped acid or something for like, 30 seconds, and it comes back into focus, and you're kind of in the darkness, and that alien's in the room with you. And it's just a whole different level in a room space, right? So I'm like physically walking around, crouching, getting into this defensive posture, thinking I'm going to be lunged at from the shadows at any moment. I'm like, where is that alien? Where is that alien? and I look up above the door, and there he is, crouched up above the door frame in the kind of peering out of the darkness, tracking me as I'm moving around this room. Oh, man, that is an awesome experience, man. So I take my gun, I shoot at it, and it flees down the vent shaft. That was awesome.
Wow, that sounds pretty amazing. Shannon has left us for a moment. Maybe an alien appeared and took him away, or maybe it's just the fact that happens sometimes in VR chat, that we get popped out of our seats. I hope he will be coming back shortly.
Yeah, so Chris, oh, is he back? Hey, Shannon's back.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it happens all. I'm glad actually things have been running really well tonight, so that's pretty awesome. Many times while I get booted out of my seat and have to come back in, so welcome back. And so we just finished up with Chris with his alien encounter. What was your account of the alien encounter?
Yeah, well, I was kind of walking around with Curtis looking at some of his effects. It was fascinating, his way of thinking about things. And he showed me this wall that was like smooth, right? And it's a curved wall. You can kind of see it in the frame there in the video. And then he goes, wait till you see what that is in the game. So yeah, as you come around, you're like you say, you're carrying a weapon with you. And it's very well tracked, by the way. The weapon's just a 3D printed white thing, but when you look down at it, it looks like an AK-47 or an actual futuristic weapon. It's very, very nice. Anyhow, you walk up to this thing and you see an alien in this like pod, and it's steaming and glowing, and you're naturally attracted to it, to kind of like what do I do with this thing? Do I need to shoot it or what? And then all of a sudden the glass like cracks open, and this alien just jumps out like super fast, like too fast for you to track. But at the same time that all that happens, you get like jetted with some air and maybe some mist of water. I'm not sure, but you basically feel like the thing cracked open on you, and it's real, and you get startled, and the thing runs away, and you're like, oh shit, it's going to get me from behind or something. It's a very vivid experience.
James, so you've seen many people go through this experience. Does anybody ever like fall down, like run away? They're so scared. Or what are some of the most interesting things you've seen while people have been trying your experience?
Oh man, it's been crazy. We've put hundreds of people through the Void experience, and some people accept that it's real to a point where they're jumping all over the place, right? I took a girl through on Saturday, and the spiders were running at her feet, and she was seriously climbing up the walls. It was kind of crazy. We've had guys that the alien smashes out and they stumble backwards and kind of fall into their butt. We've had a couple people do that. It's kind of fun to see how people interact with the Void, and I didn't actually realize how important it was to have a wall system. I figured the walls would would accomplish a few things, right? When you play a video game, you can't walk through the walls. You set up certain rules, and if you were to break those rules, then the game kind of crumbles, right? You can't really have gameplay if you can just walk through the walls. So that it serves that point, and it serves other points, but some of the things I never expected were how the walls solidify the person. If they start feeling a little off, or they get scared and they have a wall to reach out and touch to, immediately they feel safe again, or they feel like they're in that space. I've seen people when they go around a corner, they'll naturally just kind of touch their shoulder against the corner. They don't know that they're doing it, but it just solidifies the experience a little bit more, and I think they just do it because their body's a little unsure. So it's just kind of cool to kind of see those little nuances, those little things that people do when they're going through it, that just solidify it to a point where they accept that it's real.
Very interesting.
The walls are what makes it amazing.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, having we've never experienced something like that. I think we've simulated it, like what Chris was talking about with the desk scene, trying to come up with as much as we can match to our real worlds, or with our hydras trying to see our hands. But yeah, I can't imagine walking around wirelessly in a space like the Void. How did you come up with the name The Void?
So I actually didn't come up with the name The Void. That was Curtis and Ken were having a conversation about what they should call this place, you know. And Ken called me up and was super excited about the name, and he's like, "Hey, dude, what do you think about The Void?" And I was like, "No way, that's freaking amazing. That's I can't believe that we actually can get that name, let alone the URL. We got thevoid.com, which is pretty amazing." And then I was started working with our branding guy, and we were trying to come up with a tagline, and we came up with the tagline, "The Vision of Infinite Dimensions," which is just, you know, the acronym of Void or whatever. But it was kind of cool how we came up with that, and I did some research on dimensions, and there's 10 dimensions that science has come up with, right? Or there might be more, but in history they actually had a 0th dimension, and it was kind of abandoned because people thought the 0th dimension was too scary because it contained all dimensions. And I found out that they called the 0th dimension the primal void, and I was like, what? This is crazy. So the primal void contains all the dimensions, and the void is that. You know, it seriously is just endless worlds that we can create inside of this. So I'm super excited about kind of the people that are coming to the table now, these storytellers and filmmakers that are coming, like really high-end filmmakers. I can't mention any names, but it's really a new canvas for them to make epic experiences for people to go and be in.
Cool. So I'm going to open things up to the audience in just a moment, so if you have questions, please get those ready. But I want to toss it back to Chris for any final thoughts before we talk to the audience.
Sure. Just something I've been thinking about as I've been sitting here is, you know, how different this is going to be from, like, you know, I'm a family man. I'm from the field of psychology, and I'm thinking, you know, what we do as a culture, we sit around a TV, we sit on a couch, we laugh a little bit together, cry a little bit together as we're watching these experiences. But man, think of the bonding that you're going to have with your kids, going to one of these places as a family and having an experience that gets that heart racing, and you're helping each other through this experience. It's just I think the level of bonding is going to be really cool for these next level experiences, and this is just the beginning. I mean, I'm just so excited about that aspect too, you know.
What about you, Shannon?
Oh, I think it's going to be game changing. I mean, it's just like going to the theater, and you know, with your family or not, and you go through this fantastic experience. It's a different bit of content on a different night, different experience, the same facility, but all they have to do is load a different app, and you experience something completely different. So I think it's going to be game changing. We just need to have more of them around the world. That's the big thing.
And that's all in the works. I think I heard you on another interview that in a year you expect to hopefully open up the one in Utah, but then branch out from there shortly after.
Yeah, so we're already looking at land in 10 other locations. So once we get our alpha, you know, a beta center open here in Utah, that we're going to immediately start building other locations. We're hoping to get about 230 locations across the U.S. and internationally within the next 5 years.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm sure we are all super excited about that. I know you have to go soon. I actually set a timer and it just went off. Do you have another 5 or 10 minutes to talk to the audience?
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
Cool. Is there any questions in the audience you'd like to ask James?
A couple on my part.
Yeah, Mechlai or Mechlai? How do you say your name?
Mechlai. Hey, what's up?
Hey, man.
I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity in the chat room.
You are. Like you are.
Oh man, I'm a big VR/3D enthusiast. First question I have, you were talking about a consumer product, mainly the vest. I'm a bit confused about, I understand like you guys are opening centers and people would come in, pay to go through these experiences. Were you planning on releasing some sort of consumer product for home?
Yes, we will in the future. Our main focus is this epic cinematic experience at the Void, but I believe in the future we'll have so much information about how people react to certain situations in VR that we'll actually be able to build an experience at home that could be, maybe the best experience you could have at home. We plan on, in the future making versions of more cost-effective versions of the Rapture headset, and we're starting to call the Rapture suits backtops. I think it's a whole new thing for backtops, but yeah, we definitely want to release some consumer products, and it's not going to come right away because it's not really our focus, and we don't necessarily want to compete with these bigger guys that are doing headsets and stuff. We have a different business model, but in the future I think it's something we'll definitely explore. As far as other merchandise and things, we plan to, in the Void, be able to, in the kind of merch area of the Void, when you come out, the center has two pieces. It has the playing areas, and it has like a really cool lobby that has stuff that's been captured or brought back from these different dimensions. It's kind of a gallery type of thing. But the store in there will have objects that you can buy and tie to your account. So you can buy like a lightsaber and tie it to your account and put it on your desk at home, but then you can bring it to the Void with you and use it and upgrade it, and you can buy support characters and all kinds of cool little different weapons and things that you can tie to your account. And the way we're building the vests, you'll actually be able to just hold them to your chest and sync them with your account so that you can actually use them in the Void.
That's
Exit
awesome.
through the gift shop. Yep.
Merchandising.
Another question.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, Vrbose, how you doing, dude?
Hey, this was directed at James. You had mentioned that there's an impending LOI with National Geographic. Can you go into more about that? Is there any specific experiences you guys are planning?
Probably not at this time. Like you guys will hear about it soon. We're just finishing that up tomorrow, so we'll be releasing stuff on our website and our newsletter about those experiences, and we're hoping to have one of those experiences for the premiere next year.
Cool. I want to talk a little bit about Burning Man, and then we might have another time for a question. Shannon, you're doing the VR Burning Man camp, burningman.com. And I'm curious if the other guests here are going to Burning Man, but go ahead and tell us a little bit more about where the project is at this time. And it's the V key to push to talk. Sometimes we all forget depending on what social place we're in.
So yeah, VR Camp is moving along. Yeah, you there?
Yep, I think we're just getting some latency. You're good to go.
Okay, so yeah, VR Camp is coming along nicely. I'd like to announce that we have a new Kickstarter campaign that's about to launch, and our premium reward. I guess it's okay to announce it. James, you still there? He's standing up. Is an all expenses paid trip to Salt Lake City to experience the Void. It includes airfare, meals, a rental car, and the Void experience.
It is the golden ticket, man.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty fun. We're excited to do that with Shannon and his team for that.
Yeah, so that's all before it opens too. So it'll be a preview for sure. So.
Wow.
James, are you going to Burning Man?
Most definitely.
Oh man.
Chris, I already know you're not, man.
No, I'm crying. I'm crying right now, man.
So we've been talking about the possibility, and it may or may not be ready in time for next year, but it's sort of the idea of doing a sort of a pop-up version of the Void at Burning Man. And I don't know, a miniature thing in a small room, but virtual mapped onto physical, and yeah, that's it. So.
Yeah, we're hoping to put that together over the next year or so, having a mobile version of this. Once we get our Globee tracking done with the RF that we're working on, I think we're going to move to building a mobile version of that. We've been invited out to the TED conference next year to actually show, so we'd like to have something ready to do for that conference.
Yeah, I think having the Void talk at a TED conference will be fantastic. It's like perfect venue for you guys.
We heard a copyrightable buzzword there. Which word? The Globee tracking?
Globee.
You heard it here first, folks.
There's another one.
Another question. Last question.
I do.
Who's I do?
I cuss.
Hey, dude. What's your question?
Forgive me if this was already asked. I was AFK. How do we become beta testers for the Void?
So that's a good question. We're playing around with a version of some type of membership for each of the Void centers that we'll be talking about more in the next month or so. But as far as the beta tester goes, we're just kind of doing invitation only right now, but when we open the first portion of the building, we're going to start testing our experiences with kind of people that want to pay and come in and go through the whole thing, so we could test the pricing model and we could test the whole experience and how they feel about the experience. So that's going to happen within the next 6 to 7 months, and we're going to open the first part of that building and let people go through and pay and do the experience. So at that time we'll probably have a sign up thing to be a beta tester and come and actually test at the center.
Hey, what's your estimate as far as the launch date of the first center? Is sometime next year, but when next year? I forget what you said.
We're saying summer of 2016, and some people have thrown out June, but that's our goal, right? Like, we're going to try our hardest to have the building completed and all of our hardware completed and have it all tested and ready to go. So we're going to do our best to hit that date, but I think next year for sure we'll have our center open.
Cool. And if people want to follow your work and get in touch with you, James, how would they do that?
So we're posting stuff on our Facebook page and then also Instagram, Void VR, and Twitter is Void VR. And then if you want to, you can go onto the website and sign up for the newsletter, and we're sending out stuff. We're just starting to send out newsletters right now, so we have actually quite a big following on newsletters there, so that would probably be the quickest way to get information and see what we're working on.
Excellent. And how about you, Shannon?
I don't know about you guys, but I'm totally excited by this stuff. And I love the Void. Awesome stuff.
Anywhere, so you have burningman.com set up, so that's where everybody can go check out that. There'll be a link to the Kickstarter, and that's great. How about you, Chris?
I'm sorry, Gunter, what was the question?
Where can people find all your great stuff, get in contact with you?
Oh, yeah. So deep_rifter for my Twitter. I like to post events on there, and I oversee the VR event calendar on RoadToVR. Just go click the event. You'll see Gunters show on there. We're tracking all, Toronto's having a meetup. Austin's having their meetup again. Silicon Valley Virtual Reality Meetup's doing their first outdoor meetup this week. There's all kinds of stuff going on in the real world as well as the virtual world. We're tracking both ends of that, so you can see what's happening in these virtual spaces as well, all across all the platforms. So come check that out. RoadToVR event calendar, roadtovr.com.
Cool. Thanks, guys, for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. And just want to tell everybody couple things to check out VR Chat on Sundays. We have a great meetup that happens then. There's also a European meetup now, so definitely swing by VR Chat on Sundays. And yeah, the Road to VR events calendar is how to stay in contact. And everybody can reach out to me through my website, guntersuniverse.com, and that's pretty much it. Thanks to the guest audiences, Kenny who's helped me out, Dark Akuma, Hazar, Scripto, Olivier, Jesse, and Graham. Really appreciate all the support. Thanks for coming out, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Gunner. This was awesome, man. I really appreciate
Really
it. Super fun. Love it.
Awesome, James.
Glad you had a good time.
Yay.
See you guys later. Bye, kitty cat.
Bye, Mr. Whiskers.
Mr. Whiskers.
Do you like the show, Mr. Whiskers?
Oh, yeah.
I love Q, Mr. Whiskers.
There it is.
Awesome.
It's a cool avatar down there.
Thank you. Yeah, Hazar and Crypto, Evolve the Ant, Mr. Q, they're all been whipping together great avatars.
That's what I want to do. That scene right there. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about that, guys?
That was great, Gunner.
And how about James's killer avatar?